All right, welcome back to Oregon Live at the Voice of College Football. I'm Owen Murray with John Evans, talking about the Ducks' 34-14 win over Northwestern. Go on the road for the first time this season. A little bit of a messy game for the Ducks, but they do close it out. We're going to talk a little bit more about what Oregon really did well in this game, just a little bit broader, and what they really do take from today, because next week is a rivalry game, but Oregon State is not great this year, but it's 2 weeks from now that the Ducks really have their eyes on. We're going to break down a little bit of whether the Ducks are ready for that, what really we need to see in these next couple weeks. John, I'll throw it to you here. What is the biggest thing the Ducks did well here?
I was overall just really impressed by what Dante Moore did, and like I said, his drop back passing game in some of those longer situations, some of those 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, being able to convert when the Ducks are behind the sticks. You don't want to see this offense operating behind the sticks, because it's an offense that really does like to. I mean, like every offense, but particularly this one that's predicated around some of those short designs and the screen game and stuff like that. You want to stay ahead of the chains, picking up short and easy conversions. So Dante Moore continues to look like a stud back there at quarterback. Does make a mistake today out there with throwing that interception, but touchdown to Kenyon Sadiq was absolutely beautiful ball. He just recognizes the defense coming, like trying to rotate into like a single high look. Safety's feet are just stuck in the ground, and Sadiq too much of an athletic freak to just burn straight past him. And Dante Moore delivers a perfect ball that you look at it at first and you're like, wow, that's a great throw, hitting the hole there on that cover 3 in the seam. But it's also him placing it to like Sadiq's other shoulder, kind of to make him spin away from the hit coming in from the safety, so that he misses him. Those are all the things. Like it's the little things that Dante Moore is doing right now that are making him look like he can kind of go head to head with any other quarterback in the country at this point.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that, though. That's one where he has that zip on it that we're talking about. He gets it up and down, just really well, and that connection is something that's going to be really important for the Ducks. That's going to be the one when you need a couple yards and you can't run the ball. That's where you're going to go. I was impressed by the running back rotation here, and I'll keep banging the drum for the downfield blocking. The De'Aaron Hill touchdown, the first one, really impressive, just because you get Sadiq pulling, and then you get Jordan Davison, because it's from a 21 personnel set, to really go out there and lead the line there as the lead blocker. I was really impressed because these aren't experienced guys who are blocking. This is Jeremiah McClellan, a redshirt freshman. This is Jordan Davison, a true freshman who opened the holes for these guys. That's what's going to make the Ducks so great this year, because you can stay in whatever looks. It's what you see from teams like the Rams, and they're able to block to levels that you can have. You want to bring in a guy like Jamari Johnson to block, and he had some good plays in this game, but Jeremiah McClellan might be able to do the exact same thing and catch the ball.
I really noticed.
I was impressed.
I've really noticed on tape that they do trust Jeremiah McClellan out there as a blocker, and in terms of like they run behind him on a lot of these designs. Not just does he give an effort, but they specifically are using him, as a key kind of guy in some of these blocking schemes to move people or move things around and get him out as a blocker, as a receiver. And yeah, that play. De'Aaron Hill Jr. has juice, man. He
unbelievable speed, man.
It really felt like Oregon's offense was kind of stuck in the mud and working a little bit slowly at that point, and that just took it. That was the NASCAR play. He gets to that second level and he just erases angles that safeties feel like they have, and it's similar to what Noah Whittington did against to open that game last week against Oklahoma State, but. I think I hoped that he had gotten a couple more carries today. Obviously excited for him, a guy who is from Illinois, to he had a bunch of family there. I know. So excited for him to kind of be able to have that moment, break that big touchdown. But I would have wanted to see him get more touches, honestly, because I think he can really turn things up in this offense. We've seen him use it as a lot of a gadget piece, but when some other gadget pieces we've seen at Oregon historically, those guys can kind of turn games around with just kind of that speed that they can. Once you get them on the outside, out in space, you make one guy miss and it's next level and they're gone.
Yeah, I like the idea of him being in the backfield at the same time as Jordan Davison too, because we've seen Davison kind of be the short yard goal line guy. And so when he's in the game, you really have to commit resources inside and commit hats inside and say, we're going to have to stop this guy from really bulldozing us. And then you get a guy like De'Aaron Hill open on the outside, and you get Davison out there who's able to block because he's so big. I like when they have them both in the backfield. I feel like it opens up opportunities and confuses defenses.
Definitely. I thought it was interesting getting Davison. They got him an early touch as like a fullback too on like a 3rd and 1, gave him a fullback dive carry. Yeah, I mean, at 236 pounds, what he's listed at near 240, he basically is fullback sized out there. So I like getting, just getting those creative looks, because you don't know, are they going to sweep it one way going to Hill, or are they going to give it to Davison and let him go up the middle and try to just bully his way for 5 yards? So
Yeah. And so as we move on, we've already talked about, probably the biggest area of struggles in the trenches. This game, where do the Ducks look in practice this week? It's what you would call a softer matchup at home against the Beavers, who really haven't looked great this season, but it's a rivalry game. And that matters to Dan Lanning, to these Ducks. You got to make a point, and absolutely they don't want to take a step back at all. How do you ensure that doesn't happen this week?
yeah, I want to bring up this comment from Mike here. Says that Oregon had some serious issues in the line of scrimmage today, and I honestly have to agree with him here. The Ducks just we're not getting the push that they should get from a team that is as strong as Oregon is. You have athletes that are just better than what Northwestern's guys are on the inside in terms of what Emmanuel Pregnon should be doing, in terms of what Amari Washington should be doing. I think the trenches are going to be the focus in practice this week. They're going to be running a lot of drills and work, making the O line work to and the D line work, both of them on both sides, to just create that push that really wasn't there today. It felt like Northwestern's guys were kind of able to explode off the ball, almost to a level slightly better than where Oregon was, and that should not be the case out there. Oregon has to be able to get a couple yards of separation off the line of scrimmage on offense to give their guys room to run, and you can't get pushed back on defense. I feel like the interior of that defensive line, as strong as some of those guys as Amari Washington are, and as quick as he can be on pass, getting into the backfield on some of those pass rushes and to disrupt some of those runs, he gets pushed back a little bit too much for a guy who is as strong as he is. And I know he gets double teamed a lot, but Tion Gray, 336 pounds, he can't get pushed back off the line of scrimmage the way he does sometimes. You just got to get your pad level down, got to be able to impact those runs, and everybody has a gap to play, and if everybody plays their gap, you'll be able to stop that run. But if you're not, they're able to push you back, and the linebackers don't have those gaps to fill, that's when Northwestern's able to break one for 79 yards late in this game.
Absolutely, because we've talked about how talented this team is in the pass rush, but it felt like Ducks really didn't get the chance to do that as much, just because Northwestern was in second and short and third and short so often this game. And when they did, there was sacks, there was mistakes. Preston Stone had that play where he had a couple guys coming at him and just kind of throws it backwards.
Yeah, I saw Tatum Tuioti come in and just basically dropped it.
That's what I would do if Tatum Tuioti was running at me. And so it feels like that element of this Ducks line is still there. There's still an ability to go get the passer when it's third and long. And that's not the concern, but it's getting getting the opposing offense into third and long that really wasn't happening this game. And that is where my focus goes to.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what Northwestern's average. I'll calculate this week. But Northwestern's average third down distance to go versus where Montana State and Oklahoma State were out the first two games for Oregon, because I'm sure it's a lot closer to that first down yardage. Because like you said, when they do get into those pass rush situations, we saw them go to like a NASCAR package, brought Aiden Breland out, and then brought
I like that name.
Ashton Porter. Yeah, it's like when you have the all speed package of guys out there. So they had kicked Ashton Porter into like an interior spot. And then Mateo, like they let everybody go to work one-on-one. Basically, Mateo with a beautiful inside spin move gets home to Preston Stone for the sack. Yeah. So you got to, but like you said, got to stop the run on first and second down and be able to get into those situations.
All right, so we just close it out here. 2 weeks before the Ducks head to Penn State. We're not moving past Oregon State, but we're moving past Oregon State just a little bit here. Are the Ducks ready? Are they ready to go win at Penn State?
Certain parts of the team look ready for sure, and certain parts are getting there. I think that's where those questions come is can they get there on the interior of the offense and the defense? Can they get there in the trenches to be able to win at the line of scrimmage against a team that's going to be as big and as tough and as talented in the trenches as Penn State is going to be when you're out there? I think this team has the ability to do that. We got to manifest it next week. I want to see Oregon come out and be dominant in the trenches against Oregon State, limiting to them to short gains on the ground, being able to really impact ball carriers in the backfield, and then being able to not even just break those big runs, those gashing plays with guys like Deer Hill, but be able to I want to see Jaden Lamar, if he's getting those carries next week, be able to average 5 yards a carry and be able to consistently find big holes that are getting made by this offensive line, because I think that's something they really need to do against Penn State, because Penn State is going to be fast, they're going to be strong, you're going to be disciplined. It's a tough program to go face, and you're going to have to kind of meet their level. And Oregon, absolutely, we've seen it from their guys around their skill positions around the outside so far. They have guys at that level that are ready to go meet that, but we just got to see some of the guys on the interior step up a little bit, because I think they have the ability to get there, but we got to see it, because it was not there today, even to the level that it was against Oklahoma State, because it was very solid against Oklahoma State, against Montana State over the season.
Yeah, and we'll get to this a little bit more on Monday, but how worried should Ducks fans be about the Noah Whittington not playing in this game?
Well, yeah, we'll have to find out more about what's going on with that situation. I haven't heard anything about him being inactive or anything like that before we saw him elicit his question before the game today. Sounds like he was warming up and stuff like that, but not necessarily getting the touches during some of those 7-on-7 periods during the drills and stuff like that in the warm-ups. Not when you do have this depth in the running back room, that does certainly help that out. You're not as concerned because, we're losing a guy who's such a core centerpiece of our offense. Not that Noah Whittington isn't necessarily, but because you have that rotating running back so really. But we know that Noah Whittington brings a juice to this offense in a way that De'Aaron Hill was able to in that third quarter. Just the second level speed he has creates some of those breakaways and creates some of those gash runs. Certainly missed him out there today, and I would hope to see him back out there soon, hopefully.
Yeah, and once again, just last thing here, we didn't see a ton of Mekhi Hughes in this game, even in a situation where Noah Whittington isn't playing. Not that it's the end for him, but where do we go from here? I guess, because this was the big piece that they went and got in the offseason. Are we just gonna say, yeah, sorry, don't need you, or is there still a role for him to play down the line?
Yeah, it seems like it could just be what it is for Mekhi Hughes at this point. I thought today could be a really strong opportunity for him to get some touches, with it being there was torrential downpour in the morning. Luckily they're playing on a turf field, so it's not just stuck in the mud the whole game. But the green still does slow down when it's been wet like that, and so I thought that would be a chance for a guy like Mekhi Hughes, who is a tough physical runner, to be able to pick up some yards for Oregon and be able to really step up with a guy like Noah Whittington out. And they just didn't really go to him that much. So I think it really does affirm that he is just a little further down on that depth chart than obviously we certainly expected. But even it's thought after week one, when he wasn't really kind of out there originally, Jay Lamar clearly is ahead of him. It looks like Jay Harris is comfortably ahead of him as well at this point. And then each of the freshmen seem to have some specialized roles out there, De'Aaron Hill and Jordan Davison, as gadget guys and a short yardage back. But they're more clearly a part of Oregon's game plan than what Mekhi Hughes is at this point to the team.
Yep. All right, well, we will be back on Monday talking a little bit more about these Ducks ahead of Oregon State. For this week, that's all we've got. Ducks close out a 34-14 win. Advance to 3-0, 1-0 in Big Ten play this year. That's what Dan Lanning likes to hear. That's all he talks about. 1-0. Ducks look to go 1-0 again next week. We'll be back on Monday. We appreciate y'all being here, listening. John, thank you so much. We'll see you on Monday.
Yep, see you on Monday.